Hey there, Michelle. How's it going today?
Good, Lindsay. I am at my parents' house, so I'm in a different spot, but
Yeah,
we're making it work. How are you?
good. Michelle, is that the home that you grew up in, your parents' house, or is that another home they moved to later?
No, this is their like an apartment that they moved
Okay,
to,
got it.
that they moved
Okay.
to like maybe close to 7 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of, well, today we're talking about a really interesting topic. Michelle, do you often take leftovers home when you eat out at a restaurant?
I would say if there are leftovers, I will take them home pretty much every time. The only time I won't is when it's such a small amount that it's embarrassing to ask for a pasta.
Or like
You know.
bread or something that's sort of superfluous, right? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, the other day I had bread leftovers and I felt so bad. I didn't know what to do with it. I would, so I just kind of held it.
You held it and walked out with the bread in your hand or something. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
some people
What about
actually,
you?
yeah, I'm all about leftovers, Michelle. Some people think that the flavors actually get better the next day.
Hmm.
The one thing I can't do is cold leftovers. Like I know a lot of people that like cold pizza the
I was
next
just
day.
gonna ask you.
I cannot do that. It makes me feel sick to my stomach, but I know
Oh,
a lot of people
really?
can. Yeah, no, I need
That's
it to
funny.
be warmed up, but as long as it's warmed up, I'm good. I'm down with leftovers. Yeah.
Some things just aren't good as leftovers, like French
Yes.
fries,
Oh,
right?
yeah, they get kind of
That doesn't,
soggy,
yeah, they just get
right?
soggy and yeah, it's just not going to
Yeah.
work out. I mean, I suppose if you put them in the oven or the toaster or something, you
Yeah.
could make do. But yeah, some things don't work as well as other
Yeah.
leftovers. But
Well, yeah, we should
yeah,
define what are leftovers, Michelle.
yes.
I mean, but first, before we get into that, though, let's remind our listeners, what should our listeners do? What should our listeners
Guys,
do? Mhm.
make sure you hit the follow button wherever you're listening to All Ears English so you never miss anything from us. So if you haven't already, wherever you're listening, just hit the follow button.
Excellent. All right. So, what are leftovers, Michelle? What are they?
Yeah. Leftovers are what is literally left over, right? So
Yeah.
you were at a restaurant, you ate, but maybe you still had a half of the meal or a quarter of the meal left, and then they are left over, and then you take them home.
Yeah, I wonder, our listeners are probably going to want to know, does the term also qualify if you just made a meal and didn't eat it all? What do you think, Michelle?
Yes.
Does that qualify as
I was
leftovers?
actually just gonna say that. Yes.
Yeah.
Also that is leftover. So
Yeah.
yesterday I ate some leftovers. So it was I ate some leftovers, but also to kind of supplement the leftovers, which is kind of I feel like that's a good word for talking about leftovers because sometimes you just have a little bit, but you need to
Yes.
make something a little bit more. So you could say to
Yes.
supplement. So then we also had some
Oh.
salmon. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, some people will cook one meal and then plan to have leftovers like to take into work or something or to
Yeah,
school.
meal prep.
Right, the meal prep thing. Yes. All right, where are we going to with this episode? This is going to be a cultural episode today, Michelle.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I'm excited. We're kind of gonna do two things today. We're gonna talk about actual language that is used around leftovers with a restaurant
Hmm.
specifically, and then we're also going to talk about an article and some of the main points from the article and give our take on that.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be very interesting. But
Yeah.
Lindsay, do you usually are you a member of the Clean Plate Club? So
I'm not
should you
sure.
clean your plate? Do you know what have you ever heard that? Do you
That's the
clean your
Clean Plate
plate?
Club. I haven't heard, but I have definitely heard clean your plate. And it's
Yeah.
funny because I think the thinking has really changed on this throughout the generations.
Yes.
So no, I'm not a member of the club. I don't feel like it's necessary. But if you look at the way I was just talking to my father-in-law about this past weekend, he is in his mid 60s, right? And so when his parents were raising him in the 50s, they said clean your plate, you must clean your plate,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
grew up I
Right.
mean, the Great Depression,
Yep.
World War II, no money,
Yeah.
no food. But now, uh not for everyone, there's still food scarcity and food insecurity, don't get me wrong. In the US it is a real thing, Michelle.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, at least in my world, are not lacking food. And so
Hmm.
that's no longer really a thing that parents that I are telling their kids. What do you think, Michelle? You have kids. Tell us will
Well,
say to
what I've seen is on a lot of there's kind of this effort of like not forcing kids,
yeah.
right? And trying to get them to follow their natural hunger cues.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're pushing the kid to you have to finish or you have to eat this, the idea is that it can also cause some kind of psychological, damage around food
Ah,
and the way they see
yeah.
food and like
Yeah.
oh, you have to eat it or you have to like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's there's so much to say about this. It's very
There's so
interesting
much.
actually, but yeah, I don't force my kids to eat what they don't want, but I do try to save what they don't
Yeah.
eat,
I
right?
love
So,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good approach. Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's how do you teach children to have that internal monitor I know
Right.
in Japan they have this, or they used to, I'm not sure if this is still a thing. They used to say that they eat until they're 80% full. And like,
I've heard stuff
that's
like that. Yeah.
comfortable. You don't feel uncomfortable. You feel good. You're full enough, but you're not stuffed like we get when we go to restaurants. So when you go to an American restaurant, you get this huge plate of food, and for some reason, at least I'll speak from my own experience, you feel pressured to eat it
Yeah.
all or something. I don't know what that's about.
Well, also, I mean, the problem with my kids when they don't finish something is then Dan and I go for it. So then
Ah,
we're
yeah.
eating like, a meal and a half basically because we're trying to
Yeah.
eat what our kids won't eat or it's there and it looks good and we're just gonna eat it, but that's not good
Interesting.
either. So
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah, not good. So anyway, we're gonna talk now about what are the things you can actually say. So when you're at a restaurant, what is usually said? So what might you hear the
Yeah.
waiter or waitress say to you that how could they ask you?
Yeah, how could they ask you? So they might say, "Can I get you a box or can I get you a couple of boxes?" Now, most of the time these days, they'll bring you the box. They used to take the leftovers
Yeah.
back and package
Yeah.
them up. That's gone away. I don't know when that
Some
went away.
places, but mostly
Yeah.
I find you're doing your
Yeah,
own
you're doing
leftovers,
your own.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. What would be something else they might say?
You might hear them say, "Would you like to take this to go?"
Or we love this phrase, "Can I get you a doggy bag?" Right? Can I
Uh-huh.
get you a doggy bag? And it has nothing to do with dogs. I don't know why we have a doggy bag, Michelle. Do
Well,
you know?
actually, I do have a question for you. Do you ever bring give Kiefer your leftovers?
Oh no, he doesn't. Well,
He
sometimes
doesn't
my
have
partner
people
will
food.
feed him yogurt and I get mad every time. I don't feed him any people
Uh-huh.
food. He does not. He's a slim, trim boy. He needs to stay in shape. He eats his own food. That's it.
That's good. That's impressive. Because I know sometimes people will say, "Oh, I'm bringing this." I mean, because I have a feeling that's where it actually comes from, but I don't know. Right? Like, oh, a bag to
Maybe.
literally bring it home for your dog,
Oh, I
right?
never thought of that. That's so
I don't
interesting.
know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it makes sense, right?
It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. So
Um,
what can we say then? What else do we need to know language
yeah.
wise?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, just answer yes or no, or then they might, if they might say how many boxes do you need, and just tell them. So,
Yeah.
and if they don't ask, they might be coming back to check on you, and they might say something like, and I think we've talked about this. Are you done with that, or are you still working? And that could
Yeah.
also be a really good opportunity for you to then ask for the doggy bag or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And this is I know we've covered this on another episode
Working.
before on All Ears English, the whole working. Why do we say are you still
So
working to mean are
funny.
you still eating? It makes me wonder, and I highly doubt that in Spanish or French you
Yeah.
could use the word work and apply
Yeah.
that to eating. I doubt it. I would love to know from our listeners
Right.
in different romance languages if that's the case. I doubt it, Michelle, but it's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's so weird.
It is weird. It is weird, but I don't know. That's just what we say.
Yeah.
So, now let's talk about how can you ask, right? They come
Yeah.
around and they ask you if you need anything else or whatever.
Mhm.
You could say something like, "Could we get some boxes?"
Yeah, it's kind of just the flip of what the waiter or waitress has asked you, right? Could we get this wrapped up? We could say.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And then, of course, back to the doggy bag. Would it be
Yep.
possible to get a doggy bag? So these are
Yes.
some ways that you can open the conversation and ask.
Love it. Okay, Michelle, we are back from break. Let's talk a little bit. The most interesting piece about this topic of leftovers is cultural opinions on taking food home from a restaurant and what that
Right.
means about class, about wealth. Where do we start here? This is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I think Well, okay, I will say this. Do you feel a little bit awkward asking for a box from a fancier restaurant?
Yes, I will answer. Yes, I
Yes.
do. I do.
Yeah.
I do think there's an unwritten rule that I'm vaguely aware of, not because I go to fancy restaurants that much, but I don't know, just in my periphery, right? I'm aware that when you go to the best restaurant in town and you're spending a couple $100, you may not ask. It may be kind of a faux pas in American culture. Do you agree?
Which is so unfair. I agree,
Yeah,
but I
I
think
know.
I think that's unfair. What are you supposed to just not eat it and then you're wasting it, or is that just kind of a, oh, I don't need to eat
I
all of it.
think
I
it
can go
is.
here tomorrow. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think it is.
I don't like that.
It's
That
weird,
makes me
right?
uncomfortable, right?
And I do think in American culture, in 99% of restaurants, you could still ask, right? You can break these
Yeah,
rules in our culture. There are some cultures where you can't break the rules, right? But you can
right.
here. So you can ask. I'm sure they have
Right.
bags and boxes, even in the fanciest places. But yeah, I mean, they
Yes.
already give you
It just
very
feels a
small
little
portions in
It
these
feels a little
fancier restaurants.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's a
other
weird
time
thing.
you can't, the other time is like if you go to a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
really kind of, you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
ask for leftovers or take leftovers there, or especially what if you, I don't go to really a lot of all you can eat buffets, but you can't like then
Mm-hmm.
pack your stuff.
Oh my gosh. I think I was listening to the Wall Street Journal podcast about, was it Red Lobster? I think it's Red
Uh-huh.
Lobster. I don't want to get the brand name wrong, but they did this campaign. Do you eat there at all at Red Lobster?
I have,
No.
but I'm
Okay.
not in a long time.
Maybe it was Legal Seafoods. I don't know which one it
Oh,
was, but they
okay.
did, one of them did the bottomless shrimp campaign, and they
Uh-huh.
got, and customers would come in with like buckets of
Uh-oh.
stuff and just take bottomless shrimp and leave. And they it didn't go well for the bottom line. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it is
Well,
a faux pas to bring a box or ask
yeah.
for a box at a buffet, because the idea is all you can eat in the restaurant,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, now that I don't know if we'll do a whole episode on this, but I guess it's just a brief thing to mention. Bottomless, right? A lot of
Yes.
times you'll hear so bottomless shrimp. You'll also hear bottomless brunch, right? Like
Yeah, for
bottomless.
sure.
That means that you can have as much as you want. So that's a good
Mm-hmm.
word to know.
Yep, 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 for
But
sure.
let's get
Yes.
into so one of the things was Lindsay, I was telling you this story. I mean, when I traveled in India, when I
Yeah.
travel, it's harder to do leftovers, right? You're
Yes.
usually going around all day. You don't want to have the food with you, and you don't want to get sick from eating food that's been out.
Yeah.
So you're not going to carry it around generally. And so when I was in India, we were eating with our tour guide, and she was very nice, and I was really enjoying the tour. And
Yeah.
then we got food with her, and we couldn't finish it, and it was hot food, and it was meat, and it wasn't something that you're going to take around in the hot weather and everything. But I didn't finish, and
Mhm.
she kind of yelled at me a little bit, because I guess the idea is, that
Mhm.
food scarcity is so real, and she
Yeah.
felt, oh no, you have to finish your food.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Mhm.
I felt bad because normally I do get leftovers. I don't
Yeah.
like to waste food,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so that was kind of an uncomfortable moment on my
Yeah,
end.
that's really interesting. Absolutely. When we travel, we're hit with all sorts of different cultural values, ways of being polite or being impolite. I think it's
Right.
just so good to travel and to have these conversations to
Yeah,
raise
I'll
our
never
awareness of
forget
things.
that.
I
Yeah, I'll
bet. I
never
bet.
forget that one.
I bet.
Um,
Yeah.
but also there was an article on the New York Times. So this was on March 18th by
Yeah.
Allison Kruger, and it was called "Is the Doggy Bad Dead?" It said restaurateurs in big cities have noticed a somewhat surprising shift in diner behavior.
Yeah.
Behavior.
And what was she saying in the article itself, Michelle? Are they saying that people are not using the doggy bag? People are not taking leftovers home as much anymore? Is
Yeah,
that
so it does talk about how people are seeing there a lot more food being left behind.
interesting?
And there's a lot of waste every year at
Hmm.
restaurants.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
and kind of going to what you said, there is talk of one possibility being that now it's so easy to just people order food, right? You can
Right.
just get it again. It's just there. I mean, again, this
Yeah.
is not for, of course there are people you can't, not everyone, right? Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but if you are fortunate to be able to have the funds to get more food, okay, you didn't finish your food there. Okay, well tomorrow I can just order it on Grubhub, or so it's not as
Right.
big of a deal to leave things behind.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. And another thing
Yeah.
they mentioned was going on dates. If you're going
Mhm.
on a date with someone and you have leftovers, then do you take
Ah.
them? And people might feel a little
Uh,
uncomfortable taking them when you're on a date.
yeah, no, that's a good question, right? Because you wouldn't sit down in a first date and give all these intimate details about your financial situation, but in some ways, not necessarily, but it can give information about, like what is your financial situation, though not necessarily. Um, so fascinating, Michelle. There's a lot here.
Yeah.
There is a
There
lot
is.
here.
One
Yeah.
other thing that I thought was very interesting was they were talking about the pandemic
Hmm.
and how people were, of course, not sharing food then, but now they do. And sometimes they even mentioned how there's this question sometimes of, well, like, who takes the food? Right,
Yeah.
you're going out, and then people are sharing, and it's like, who takes ownership of the food? So
Oh, wow.
yeah, lots of very interesting points, even around food just going bad, if you're not going home right away.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
but
no,
some
yeah.
did say that leftovers are still very common. So just those
Hmm.
were just some of the things that I wanted to point out from the article.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we can look at how culture might be shifting. I know
Yeah.
in the US right now we have like major class clashes going on, kind of.
Yeah.
There's an underlying tension around class more than
Yeah.
anything happening in the US right now, which we're all tracking, right? We're seeing it happen, and there are little things we can look at that give evidence of this, and even
Yeah.
something as simple as leftovers might be in
Yeah.
there. Really
Yeah.
fascinating, Michelle. Do we have time for a role
I
play?
don't know, do
I don't
we?
know either. Let's do one. Let's do one of these role plays, Michelle. Which one? Which
Okay.
one is? Which one do you want to do? First or
Let's
second?
go for it. Let's go for number two.
Okay,
Okay.
here
So
we
here
go.
you
Mhm.
are the waitress and I am the customer.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Are you done with that, or are you still working?
I'm done, thanks. Would it be possible to get a doggy bag?
Absolutely. I'll bring out a couple boxes.
Thanks.
Excellent. So we just showed you here in
Typical.
this role play that I asked as the waitress, are you done with that, or are you still working? Again, there's that
Yeah.
weird use of the word to work, meaning eating, right?
Yes.
Yes. Or working on it. Are you still working on that? You might
Right.
hear, right?
Working on it. Yeah, you could say that as well.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm done, thanks. And then I used this. I said, would it be possible to get a doggy bag?
Excellent. So we see just a few of those vocabulary words. Michelle, what's another episode our listeners could go to? Where could they go?
Yeah, check out episode 2455 was should you poke fun at someone's niche interests? Really good stuff there.
Yeah. And just as a takeaway, this has been fascinating because we're not just talking about restaurants, ordering, and leftovers. We're actually talking about culture and
Yeah.
politeness and class and
Yep.
food insecurity, really deeper issues, which our
Yeah.
listeners could use this as a model to get into a great conversation and connection with someone to talk about each other's countries, right?
Absolutely, because I wish we had a whole panel of listeners on this
Mm.
conversation so we could
Oh my
hear
gosh.
their opinions and how it is. This is this is just a very universal topic, and so to hear
Yes.
how it could vary between areas in the world, between class, so interesting.
Really good stuff. Guys, if you love our style of connection, not perfection, hit the follow button right now or the subscribe if you're on YouTube. Okay, Michelle, good stuff today. I'll see you back here very soon. Have a good
All
week.
right,
Have a good
bye,
day. All
Lindsay.
right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.